Guru Prakash, the national spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Dr. Vikram Singh joins the panel. He's the one who's written this piece. Sanjay Jha stays on. Professor Monojit Mondal joins us. And Dr. Ranganathan stays on. Now, Dr. Vikram Singh, I want to begin with you. What compelled you to write this piece, and what do you make of the commentary around it now?
Pranesh Ji and esteemed panelists, good evening. I have been in the security outfit for now more than 36 years in active service and 14 years as an observer. I see that this conflict flashpoint seems to be going down day by day. When I say going down, it is going to be more volatile by the minute. The acrimonious exchange that happens, well, what has happened in the US is likely to happen in India and elsewhere if we do not guard ourselves and choose our word very carefully. Bismarck, 150 years had said, write politely, speak diplomatically. One observes the rules of politeness even in the declaration of war. When there's declaration, one doesn't use ma bahan ke adjectives like that. So in the political discourse, I would expect those at the highest level would choose their words and their sentences very, very carefully, lest it promotes a flashpoint almost going to an explosion. And therefore, the acrimonious exchanges has gone to an all-time low, and they are emulated by the youth and by most of the people in the country. And if this is to be taken, you don't require more than 5 people to create a situation that is of national and international significance and disaster.
Now, Dr. Singh, in your piece, you've singled out the Congress party in a way.
I have, Mr. Pranesh, seen what has happened in the last, primarily in the last 24 months. And in the 24 months, what stands out, what flags? And when I say that I've singled out a few examples, but I stand again by the saying that the rule of law is supreme, and anyone who has transgressed the rule of law should be taken to task irrespective of party affiliations.
Okay. Sanjay Jha, now we've seen the response from the other side. The opposition says that, look, the BJP must answer for hate. Who are they asking questions? So I think you're on mute.
Well, my kind request to you is please be more fair in this section of the program than you were in the last, if you want to have a real frank and candid conversation. Otherwise, you should not call us, to be very honest. But let me try and answer very quickly. Firstly, I read Mr. Singh's column in the Indian Express. I have a lot of respect for him, but I completely and respectfully disagree with him. It appears to be a very exclusive case of political targeting. I would like to ask this of Mr. Singh, to be very honest. Mr. Singh, are you aware that in the last 24 months that you talked about, that the Prime Minister of this country was accused of making hate speech during the elections? That the Election Commission, which is considered to be literally the handmaiden of the BJP, was compelled to send him a notice. The Prime Minister of this country was making hate speeches against 200 million citizens of this country. It sadly did not come to any mention in your rather 800-word piece. My second question to you, are you aware that in the northern parts of India and religious congregations, there have been calls for genocide of Muslims? You think that is not segregationist? You think that is not spreading hate? You think that is not going to polarize society? You think that is not going to divide and, kind of basically split and create fissures? You think that cannot have a consequence? I was surprised that did not feature in your article. Point number 3, are you aware, Mr. Singh, that in the last 10 years, there have been some horrific cases of lynching? The opposition will tell you that everybody is a victim. That's not true. One community in particular has paid a huge price, and we have not seen any condemnation come through. You think America would have been quiet if there had been lynchings happening like Ku Klux Klan during the Mississippi burning time? But in India, the Prime Minister remained remarkably quiet. Mr. Singh, let me just tell you, I hope you should have also added that the attack on Donald Trump, unfortunate and condemnable as it is, was made by a registered Republican from his own party. Point number 2, can you deny that Mr. Donald Trump actually encouraged an insurrection against his own government while he was the president? He was threatening the American Constitution while he was president.
Mr. Jha, are you saying that
1 minute, my last quote.
himself?
My last quote. These are Trump's quotes. Trump has mentioned in his speeches that there should be a bloodbath if he loses. I can understand the concern for assassination.
No, so Mr. Jha,
but
are you
have to know
saying that
who's
Mr.
triggering the
Trump
violence.
brought it upon himself?
My larger point is that there are politicians in both America and India who have polarized our society because their parties gain electorally. And my one quote, you know what Mr. Trump said, Pranesh, you got to know this. Immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. This is the language of a man who's a former president.
Which is why,
and who
Mr.
knows
Jha,
what
I
he can
asked you, now you can condemn the language, but are you then justifying the attack on him by saying that he brought it upon himself?
Yeah, Pranesh, how did I start? You don't
how
have to
did
be
you
so
end,
hard
Mr.
to-
Jha?
You
Mr.
don't
Jha,
have
you
to
are
be
clever
so
with words.
hard.
Now, Mr. Jha,
How did I start?
No, 1 minute. You started very well,
Did
sir.
anybody
And then
justify it?
how have
Did
you
anybody
finished?
justify it?
How
Did
have
I
you
say-
finished? I'm
I
asking
think
you
you
that
should
question. But
apologize to me.
anyways,
You should apologize to me for making an allegation that you know is untrue.
I'm not. I'm
You should
asking you a
apologize to
question.
me.
That's not an allegation. Come on, Mr.
I
Jha.
started by saying that unfortunate and condemnable as the
Yeah,
attack
but then
is.
you began by blaming
should pay
Trump
attention to
and
that.
said that, he's made comments like these, which is why I asked you a question.
Well,
That's a fair
well,
question. Now, Mr. Jha.
my dear friend, Mr. Trump can have a assassination attempt which is wrong, and he can also be an agent who's provoking a lot of hate in American society.
Provoking
which,
a lot
by the
of
way,
hate.
is hardly a secret.
Oh,
I think you should let Mr. Singh answer some questions.
He's ready to answer your questions.
Yeah.